welcome to the first official Duck Roost Podcast. I am your host, Alan O'Bryant, and I've got my oldest son, Cade O'Bryant, with me. And Cade and I have been talking about doing this podcast for, I don't know, Cade. When did we first even bring this up?
The Kansas trip at the end of December, I believe.
Yeah, that was probably our best trip of the year. We got limits, 2 days in a row, or one day, and then and then we skipped a day, and then we got double limits again, mallard limits with pintails both times. So it was pretty awesome, really good trip. First time being in a new area, we were pretty much blind, doing all our scouting on our own. Obviously, didn't have any locals to kind of share any information with. Didn't know anybody. Had a good time on that trip. Looking forward to doing that again and going back up there. But this podcast, for those of you who may not know what it's about, we have a YouTube channel called Black Belt Waterfowl. Feel free, I would appreciate it if you go and check out the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, go check out some of the videos, hit that thumbs up button for us. It really helps you out a lot. Helps us out a lot when you do that. And that way, if you don't know us or not familiar with us, you can kind of put a voice to a face on there and you kind of see who we are and what we do. But that's kind of what we want to do with this podcast. We want to share some stories and, from the seasons and from seasons past that are not captured on video, that are not on the YouTube channel, as well as, share some information, some tips and tricks and that sort of thing, maybe to help you out. And I'm sure share a few laughs along the way. I know I've got some old duck hunting stories that Cade knows about, some of them I'm sure, but I know none of you do that are followers of the YouTube channel. So you'll probably get a kick out of that from my earlier days, stomping around the woods and in the waters. But speaking of that, with my earlier days, that's kind of what tonight's first official podcast is about. We're going to try to keep this kind of short and sweet, being a first episode. But Cade, for many of you, if you follow the YouTube channel, you know that Cade is about grown for the most part. He just turned 16 back in June, so now I've got a 16-year-old son, and he's acquired his own duck boat, his own motor, his own decoys. He's got his whole setup, so he is going to be scratching out on his first official hunt without Dad this weekend. And I'm not real sure how I feel about it. I'm happy for you, but I'm a little bit nervous at the same time because I know you know what to do, but I'm just used to being there and making sure I'm watching over everything and Cade's all right. And so, that's just...
Mom is not a fan of it either.
Mom's not a fan. Well, Mom's not a fan of much of anything me and you do, even when I'm there. So, but, that's part of growing up. Like I said, it's going to be really hard for old Dad to be sitting there in the control room at work, and I'm going to be creeping on you on Live 360. I want to see where you're at, see if you're making it to the hole and everything. So, it's going to be different. But I'm looking forward to it. The icing on the cake for me is going to be if you go out there on your own, and I know you hopefully not going to be by yourself. Hopefully you're going to have a buddy with you. That would make me feel a lot better. I don't know that I'm ready. I don't know that I want you on a solo trip yet. Prefer a buddy to be with you. But I'm going to be sitting at work in the control room at the mill, creeping on you, keeping an eye on you. But the icing on the cake, like I was about to say, would be for you to go out there on your first official trip, whether you limit out or not, just to smash some teal. So that'll be really awesome. So that brings up tonight's topic. Cade, you are fixing to scratch out on your first official duck hunt with your own duck boat, duck motor, which you've got a surface drive type motor on your boat. So you're going to be able to get in and out of a few places that we would normally have to kind of wade and walk into with my boat with the outboard. Yeah. So, as a dad, I know things to be aware of and to pay attention to and watch for when I'm traveling from the boat ramp to my hole, or even if I'm traveling up the river, if I got a mile or 2 mile run or even further than that, things that I'm looking for and watching for on the river. And I know you have ran the boat multiple times, but, I was thinking about about it the other day at work. I don't know if I ever put you as the official captain in the dark. I didn't think so. Yeah, in the evening times. I didn't think I had put you in there in the dark, which I probably should have done, but it seems, I don't know, we don't use the boat a whole lot when we go out of state, and then when we hunt here, it's typically so foggy, I didn't want to throw you in that situation, which I probably should have, because I'd rather you been in that situation with me than be out there with a buddy, and neither one of you have been in that situation at all, so anyway, with that coming up this weekend, 2 days away from our teal opener, for many of you don't know, we have an early teal season here in Alabama. And so what are some things that, Dad's got to quiz you. What are some things that, all right, you pulled up at the boat ramp, you got your boat launched, went and parked your truck, you're scratching out, leaving the boat ramp, going to your hole. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? What are you watching for? Has Dad done anything right? Have I taught you anything? What's on Cade's mind?
Right now, probably trash. We've had a lot of rain.
Trash. We have had a lot of rain. It's rained pretty much every day. It's supposed to rain today. It ain't here yet, but it's coming.
And other boaters. But that's really not a big problem during teal season here.
Not really. Not so much. But, speaking of boaters, that is a good topic because, right here where we live, bass fishing tournaments is a big thing. So that's something to be aware of when you're in the hole, as well as when you're leaving the hole. You're liable to have, because these bass fishermen right here, they have no respect for a duck hunter. I've had them come trolling almost right up through the decoys, throwing a spinner bait, asking, man, you killing anything? And I'm thinking, well, not at the moment, and I'm probably not going to until you get on somewhere, They don't have any respect for a hunter, so hopefully you won't have to deal with that any for the teal opener. Yeah, I don't think it's any tournaments, but what I do know is there's supposed to be a lot of rain this weekend, so that's something to keep in mind. So that's you're worried about trash. Now, when you say trash, what do you mean? For people who are listening to this, I don't know if y'all do a lot of duck hunting or traveling to and from your holes by boat. Down here in the South, that's pretty much the only way to get there. We don't have any walk-in hunting areas, so any hole you get to, you're going to be hunting off the river. It's going to be what we call a cut. Some people call it a lake. Some people call it a slough. To me, a slough is a big creek, but, so we call them cuts. Really, they're really more or less river flats. It really more or less, truthfully, is what they are. So when you say trash on the river, what do you mean by trash for somebody who doesn't know? What do you mean? What is trash in the river? What are you talking about?
Logs and floating grass mats. Really, just mainly logs here.
Yeah, mainly logs here because this is pretty woody country around here. We're in the heart of timber country, paper mill country. So a lot of logs, a lot of trees. We even get a lot of debris. And when I say debris, because there's a lot of camp houses and river houses up and down the river. When the rivers get up, people leave things out, around the camp house, and they're not secured. You'll see beach balls, basketballs, an occasional raft. You never know what you may find coming down the river around here. Chunks of styrofoam. I've seen all kinds of stuff. So, all right, you've done left the boat ramp. You're running the river. You're watching for trash. You're watching for other boaters. All right, you're easing up into your hole. You got the boat out. Got the boat tied off, whatever it may be, anchored up. You're getting ready to set your decoys. What's on your mind now? Things have changed. You're no longer watching for trash now. Now what's on your mind? Just early teal season, what are you being aware of? What's on your mind? What do you kind of got your mind on? As well as got your mind on making your setup and making your spread.
Main thing here during teal season is gators and snakes.
A lot of alligators.
It's pretty hot during teal season here.
Yeah, it's terrible. A lot of alligators.
Not many snakes.
We don't see a lot of cottonmouths around here. We got them for sure, but typically the places we're hunting, where we hunt, there's a lot of sawgrass. And the cottonmouths are there, but they're typically up closer to the bank around the logs and where the mud and stuff is. They really don't get that far out into the water.
Yeah.
Because it's typically, what would you say, 4 to 5, maybe even 6 foot from the edge of the water and the sawgrass on up to the actual bank where the trees and stuff are. So it's a pretty good gap. Now, we get over in the woods, you definitely going to get on the cottonmouth, which is something you have to think about because, early till season, if you don't have a blind on your boat here, you're going to be tucked back in that grass. So depending on how close you get to the actual shoreline, you could potentially get on a cottonmouth. Yeah. So, those things you have to be aware of. And alligators, goodness gracious, man, I don't know if some of y'all, if you're familiar with the channel, or if you're not, go check out the YouTube channel. There's a video on there from last teal season. I'm set up, kill a few teal that morning, and have a gator come up in the decoys. He was, I guess, the flash from the mojo caught his attention, and he got within about, the camera makes it look a little further away than it is, but those of you not familiar with a camera lens is not your eyeball, so everything looks further away than it really is. But he got within about 6 to 8 feet of the decoys, that he just kind of he sat there and watched for a while. Then I guess he figured out, hey, these decoys and this mojo's not moving, and he just kind of slowly went under and eased on about his business. But they get pretty close. They're not scared of you at all. And when you're out setting your decoys early in the morning, splashing around in knee-deep water, to them, that sounds like prey. Whether it be hog or beaver or otter or whatever it may be. So that sparks their curiosity. They're coming out to see what that is because you are in their environment. But so those are some hazards. Now, you got your spread. Put out. Mojos are out. Now what?
Hide and wind, mainly.
Hide and wind.
I don't have a blind on my boat like you.
Yeah. Why not?
I didn't really want one.
Don't want one. All right, so you're going to tuck back in the grass.
Yeah.
All right, so another thing is that you really got to think about that maybe you haven't is, since you're going to hunt like that, what's the most important thing now you've got to do?
Make a blind.
You don't have to make a blind. You can tuck back in the sawgrass, but you got a really big object you got to do something with.
Oh, yeah, the boat.
You got to hide that boat, right? Yeah. Now, teal season, really not that big a deal because, they're more folks. A lot of them are juvenile birds, so they really haven't been shot at a whole lot, so they're really more focusing on this mojo more or less than anything. But hiding that boat is hard. It's hard with a blind on it. Now if you can get it back in the sawgrass with a blind on it, it's hidden a lot better. But now you've got just this long rectangle. What is your boat? 1448, something like that?
I think it's wider than that, 1450. I think it's
1450 or 52. Probably 52.
Yeah.
So he's got a 14-foot aluminum boat, 52 inches wide with a surface drive, 16 horse?
Yeah.
16 horse motor on there, which we're going to do another podcast on, let Cade explain his boat build he's done and tell everybody about that because that was pretty interesting. But you need to get you something, whether it be some burlap. I've got some sawgrass around here. You need something to put on top of that boat to break up that outline.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about because I know you really probably hadn't even thought about that till now. But, so, I'm a little nervous, but I'm looking forward to how this is going to go for you. Another thing you need to think about, you mentioned trash in the river. We got a lot of rain. It's actually fixing to start raining here shortly. I can kind of hear sound like a little thunder in the distance there. Y'all might have just actually heard that. I don't know if the microphone picked it up or not, but it's coming. And so you're going to have, the river's going to be up a little bit, more likely above normal pool. So you got to pay attention to that trash. And when that river's rising and you got a little current, you got to pay attention to what, Cade? What are you watching for? You got trash, you know it's there, but where's it going to be?
The trash line.
In the trash line. Now, can you explain what the trash line is for somebody who doesn't know? I mean, in your terms, if you were trying to explain to Mom, because that's somebody who has no idea what we're talking about, what is the trash line and how do you find the trash line?
Pretty much it's just a line of trees and a bunch of just trash and grass and.
It's going to be the nastiest water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all going to be muddy because it's rising water and it's flood water. But the current's going to be moving all the way across the river. It's going to be swirling in different places. But that trash line is going to be pretty much right on the edge of that current and where some of the what I call the drag water is, where there's closer to the bank. There's a little bit of drag on the edge of that current, and that's where your trash line seems to like to get to. It's not going to be out in the middle of the river because the current's so swift there, it pushes it to an outer edge. So you got to watch for that trash line, and you want to run that trash line. Now, what I mean by running that trash line, we don't want to get right in the middle of it, right? You're going to run right down the edge of it, because you don't want to be out in the middle of the river because then you're right in the middle of the ball-faced current, and that's a lot of strain on your boat, on your motor. You're going to burn a lot of gas. But if you can get out of the heart of that current, it just makes things a lot easier for you. But I'm going to quiz you on something here because I know this is not something you're thinking about because you're new to this, and some of you listeners may have to deal with this as well. You're in your hole, all right? You're set up, boat's hid. You're waiting on some ducks to come in and decoy and shoot them in the face. What is something other than hazards? What is another potential hazard you need to be watching for while you're sitting in your hole? I hope this hear a little bit of rain on this metal roof. I hope it doesn't mess us up. So you can hear water level. This water level up here is dictated and determined by the dam. So when you got rain and you've had rain, they're going to have those floodgates open. They're going to be pulling more water at the powerhouse. So you need to be watching that grass, watching those decoys. If you start seeing swimming like ripples coming from those decoys, what's that mean? They're pulling water. So what does that mean? Your water level is dropping. You may not be able to get out of there. So that's another thing to think about. So we'll see how the weekend goes. I'm looking forward to your first official trip. And we got some rain coming in. I hope it's not too loud on this microphone. So we're going to try to cut this podcast off right here. I appreciate y'all listening for the very first time. And please go check out the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Rate this podcast. We'd appreciate it. And that's all we got for you tonight, guys. So we'll catch y'all on the next one.